In America here, we have a big initiative to bring manufacturing home. And my sense is that there's going to be a big movement to try to figure out how to be competitive because over the years, I think Americans feel like we've lost our ability to compete mainly around cost. Um, if you go back in time, we've seen uh, manufacturing shift all around the world. And even back in the 50s after the war, the Japanese and German economies both came back strongly with their own capabilities because they were largely able to think independently and not be tied to their factories of the past, which of course were destroyed. And I think then those two economies became very strong manufacturers. And then we saw the rise of Asian companies, sort of ASEAN countries, which would be China and all the oceanic countries. And even right now, I think China's feeling some pressure from companies like countries like Vietnam and
So, which technologies? As you know, from my perspective, a lot of it is around data. Manufacturing has taken an awful long time to go online, and when you look at the manufacturing industry, there's still many places where they're pondering whether it makes sense to move to the cloud even. And that's like a kind of paranoia about security, where they think that keeping servers in their basements is safer than having servers on Amazon, which mostly is not true. But so that's going to have to change if the companies don't change quite soon. Then they're definitely going to start getting replaced by newer, more innovative companies. So with internet-controlled manufacturing, it's going to be very much a data-oriented game.
The one constant is change, right? And the promise of technology is being able to do more with less. And during these challenging times with COVID, we're being forced to do more with less. How do we do that? There's got to be improvements. There's got to be change. There's got to be improvements in technology, improvement in processes, right? But it's not going to be done. It's not going to be done in one day, right? Specifically in terms of manufacturing. So I think the gentleman discussed some really good points there, especially with robotics, automation, and the various benefits and the various challenges that approach brings, right? Another area too, which is being discussed more and more now, is nanotechnology, right? Again, it just goes back to being able to do more with less. And I think if we look at manufacturing, it necessarily has to change from how it used to be. Bruce talked about Japan after the Second World War. Yes, they had to have new manufacturing because they basically didn't have it anymore, right? And so it forced them into a situation where they really had to change the way they'd been looking at things.
Manufacturing is going to change. It's going completely to change because we are looking now that the improvements we are having, like 3D printing, like robotization, automation, computer utilization, will lead to a lesser involvement of human manpower. And as you well know, human manpower, lower cost, was the competitive advantage that many countries had compared to so-called first world countries. And they could not only compete, they could undersell these countries. And what happened? They also got the technologies and the know-how which they didn't have before. They got these technologies and they're applying it, and they now are improving. So the threat to the first world is that the first world is losing not only the manufacturing capability, but also the next step, the next know-how, the new product. Look at, for instance, flat TV screens. flat TV screens are basically made in Japan, in Korea, and in China.